Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Takeover United Pod, where Somdeep and I take over your weekend with all things Manchester United. And wow, what a game it was today. Ruben Amorim, in his 50th game in charge of Manchester United, finally gave us a good performance. I think maybe after the City game last season, I think the first time uh, we have seen a good outing from the team. And credit where it's due. I think this was like we'll come to the caveats later, but like this not like say after the Chelsea game where Chelsea played with a man down and just basically became timid and completely gave up the game. This was a good win, especially in the first half. Sunderland was completely nullified. I think they barely had any shot attempts in that first half. United was dominant. Um, we also had a debut given to Lamens, the goalkeeper, Sen Lamens, who looked very good today. But yeah, but we'll get to all that. But yeah, a very good win. Goals from Mason Mount and Benjamin Shesko, who has scored again, right? And what more goals than what Gyökeres?
I think equal if you
Equal.
look at non
What
if
about?
you look at non-penalty goals.
But more than words, right? Yeah. The first goal also was assisted by Brian Mbumu.
That's right.
So
Yes.
yeah, it was a good outing for the team. You know, not just as a stats merchant, but with the eye test. The eye test was good. United was assured in
Right.
control. We didn't get overrun in midfield. We looked good in the box. We could have scored more. The defense looked much better today. The goalkeeper was an eye opener, right? Um,
And had his eyes open.
yes, very true. Now,
Yeah.
Aniket, sorry, Somdeep. Oh my God, my wires are crossing the other podcast. Somdeep, I think the first discussion point for today is like, is the team finally turning a corner? Right? Is this our best lineup so far? And also, would you like to make any changes to it? And also, in general, what did you think of our setup tactically today? Right?
Right. Uh, I have to say that I was relatively happier with the lineup today. Like I've been harsh on Amram on the spot.
Yeah.
Uh, you know that. Uh, but I do think the lineup was better within the framework of the back three that he
Mm,
uses, and there are reasons for that. The first one up, I would say, is we had Lenny Yoro back, which I think is really great to see as a United fan. I think he's important. He's quick, and sometimes when there's a bit of chaotic, situations that United often find themselves in, Lenny's interceptions are important, and we saw evidence of that today. So
absolutely.
it was good to have him back in the lineup. You touched a bit upon this, but it was great to have Sene Lamens in goal, just because there's been a lot of confusion and a lot of unpredictability with
Mm,
Man United keepers in the recent past. So I think having Lamens kind of with starting over a new leaf and just being a calmer presence at the back for United, really important. And I felt he delivered on that. Uh, so that was another thing that the lineup that Amorim got right with the lineup. Uh, Personally, I've been a big believer of having Ahmad in the team, and
mm,
just having him play any which way. Uh, yes, maybe right wing back isn't his best position in the bigger scheme of things, but he is still the best option for the club in that area. I truly believe that because he occupies that right wing, he creates a lot of danger from there. So another good thing having him there today. And I don't think the club has a recognized left wing back personally, because I see Patrick Dogu as a left back, and Luke Shaw, etc., as a left back. So relatively speaking, Diego Dallo at left wing back for me makes sense for a lot of reasons.
Mm.
We will of course discuss that. uh, so yeah, I think good choices in the lineup. I think it's a smart move to play Euro and Matthias Tilly and
Yeah.
not have Harry Maguire with Tilly, because sometimes it just takes the edge off and uh, makes us a little more susceptible when we're playing in a high line.
Mm.
So that's why I'm in favor of those decisions. And there's one move that Amorim made, which I'm not sure everyone saw coming, but I think you're a big fan of this guy. Mason Mount
Yeah.
starting, in the left 10 position today is probably the most important tweak in the scheme of today's game that I'm saying. What do you think? Like, I guess you're pretty happy with that inclusion.
No, I'm very happy. I always rated Mason Mount very highly, right?
Hmm.
I think the
Yeah,
only problem was his injury record over the last. He's been for 2 seasons now, or only one? Only one season, right?
yeah. It's been 2 years. Yeah,
Wow, this is third season.
yeah. This is his third season because he arrived summer of 23,
Oh
24,
my
right,
god.
with
Yeah, see
Hoyland
that
and
explains it.
Onana.
He's been so affected by injuries that we have barely seen him, right? And
That's
I
true.
I even
Yeah,
forgotten that this is third season for the club. So I mean that should tell you a lot, right? But regardless, right? I think I've always been a big fan of Mason Mount from his Chelsea days.
right.
He's a very
You have.
good attacking player, and he was their player of the year for for good reason, right? Um,
Yeah,
he's also very press resistant, which is something that United have struggled a lot against. You know, like these days, every top team has a high press and a very aggressive press, right? Um, I think like how Pep influenced with his possession football. Jurgen Klopp has kind of. I know he's not the first one, but he's easily the most prominent manager to do this high pressing, high energy kind of football, and which we see a lot in the Premier League because the Premier League is this very fast and physical league, right? And Klopp had a lot of success with this Liverpool team doing that, right? So, and obviously Mount being that press resistant player that he is, that when he came to United, I was very excited because we have been kind of bad against pressing teams. We've seen under multiple managers in the past, we just could not tolerate a high press. But
yeah,
unfortunately, all the injuries, 2 seasons of injuries which ravaged him, we did not see much in the side. And now we are finally seeing. So I hope his injury troubles are at least past him for now. But yeah, that's the thing. So I was very happy. And the other thing that Mount gave us today, that because he's like a true kind of a 10 player, right? Not like say
hmm,
not like Mbemo, right? Who's more like a winger, you know,
yeah,
being
yeah.
shown into the 10
Precisely.
role. So, Boomo tends to drift wide, and then suddenly you have three people on the flank. You have your right sided center back, you have your wing back, and your Boomo, all of them trying to compete for space, and then you have a lot of space left in the middle a lot of times, or they all come into the center and there's nobody in the wings. You have a lot of this confusion going on. But Mount, I think, just being a natural midfielder, um, he will drift inside, right? There's no second guessing that. And he added, I think, that extra body in the midfield, which we've been lacking,
Yeah,
and which has led to teams bullying us in the previous 49 games of Ruben Amorim. Um, that missing man in midfield, right? Mount, we saw a lot today. He would step into midfield, um, add numbers, so that ensure that we're not bodied against the opposition. And I think it gave a little more freedom for Dallo and Shaw on that left flank to kind of, uh, put in those crosses and all that with Mount dropping inside. So, yeah, I think it just tactically the setup worked better today. And also on the right side, we saw um, Bumo, I think, yeah, Mbumo again, he did not. I think he was coming in as well. I think more inside. We saw Ahmad get a lot of freedom on the wings. Ahmad was bombing forward, making good runs, putting those crosses. We saw Mbemo coming into that kind of more of a 10 kind of role. Um, it did feel like, yeah, it did feel like maybe we had like say a back four of, Dallo, Shaw, Delict, and Euro, and then an asymmetric, you know, wing kind of a formation, right? Yeah, the right wing, you have Ahmad going forward, and then you have Bumo and say Sesko more central, and Mount Bruno and Casemiro in the midfield kind of thing. So yeah, like an I don't know, like an asymmetric 4-4-1-1 or something like that. You know, what those formations are. But I think yeah, it just felt we were set up better tactically today. We're not losing people in midfield. We're not losing people on the wings. Um, of course, it did also help that Sunderland played very timid. Um, but yeah, what do you think about that? I mean, regardless, I mean, nevertheless, of course, United, played well and credit where it's due. We played good football today. But do you also think that Sunderland were maybe a bit too timid against us? Were they just overwhelmed by playing at Old Trafford? Like, what was going on?
Um, could you come again? Sorry.
Yeah, so I was saying, so what I'm saying is, United obviously, played good football today, and like I'm not making any kind of excuses or anything. Like United did play good football. It was a good tactical setup. But do you also think Sunderland were a bit timid in their approach? Were they overwhelmed at Old Trafford, or what was it? Because they looked very, very lost. I think only in the second half they kind of woke up and tried to attack more. But by then, United grew into the game. They were confident, and they really didn't allow Sunderland into the game at all, and they couldn't do much. It was, I think, too late for them to start attacking.
Yes. And I think what you've kind of hit the nail on the head there. Like there's three factors. You spoke about one, of course, the kind of 5-3-2 we created with Mount dropping into midfield gave us that extra body. So I think that's part of why we did better. Of course. Um, the second thing is I felt we pressed in sort of a 4-4-2 today, and again Mount was pivotal in that because
Yeah.
he's one of the best pressers on the team, along with Ahmad, and having both of them in the squad really made a difference on that front. Uh, the third factor, which I think
Mm,
played into it, is that we've seen Man United struggle more against teams this season, where they essentially go man for man in their press,
mm,
and they force United to either kind of rush the initial passes or uh, just put them under a lot of pressure right from the off. Uh, and one of the reasons, as you rightly pointed out, is because we don't have a lot of players who are press resistant in the team. There's probably Kobe and to some extent Mason Mount that I can think of, and that's mostly it.
yep.
Uh, and maybe Lisandro Martinez, but of course he's not available.
Yep.
Sunderland, I felt today, they didn't intensely go man to man with their press
Mm,
in the first half, and I think that gave us a little bit of belief. I think that gave United a little bit of room to work with and bring the ball up.
mm,
Uh, it looked to me that Sunderland were mostly in sort of a mid block or a little more aggressive than a mid block, and that played into United's hand a little bit.
mm,
The crowd at Old Trafford got behind them, and the mix of it was enough to give the players a little bit of belief.
yep.
And of course, we scored relatively early in the game, and I think that gave us a lot of confidence with it. The other change that I noticed, which I think Sunderland made in the second half and were instantly better
Mm,
as a consequence of, was that I believe they moved to a back five themselves. And what happened with that was they nullified our, so to say, extra man in attack when we attacked with five. So they were able to negate that more easily, and they kind of pushed forward better.
mm,
Uh, their press, while still not being hyper aggressive, was more organized, and kind of matched us better on that front. Uh, I felt like the game state was very chaotic in the second half. Right, it was back and forth, and both teams were really going at it. So it wasn't like a very calm second half that maybe United would have preferred. But yeah, Sunderland definitely could have been a little more adventurous today. But I see their side of it. Newly promoted side away to Old Trafford. Uh, yes, Old Trafford isn't the bastion it used to be, right? No one's claiming that. But from Sunderland's point of view, they probably felt that we had a lot of threat in transition, and could get in behind them easily. So that's probably why they didn't fully commit to the press.
Hmm.
It's kind of the choice that teams have to make with United this season, right? This is a recurring theme we're seeing. We saw Mikel Arteta talk about this, about how uh, Arsenal were clearly wary of the threat we posed in behind in transition. So they sat off a little deeper than they typically would.
Yeah, but they
Uh,
scored a goal first and then let us run like headless chicken. So
yes, in Arsenal's case, like that plan also worked better because the game state was in their favor, right? Sunderland didn't have that, and we were the ones who got the first goal.
yeah,
So obviously that put us in better shape to make a success out of this. um, I think it, look, Sunderland have been doing well, and I think there's enough promise within them,
hmm,
and enough talent in that squad that they
right,
might well stay up this season. But you have to remember that they are a promoted side, uh, and no disrespect to them. I think they're a very well constructed promoted side. I think they made some great signings, whether it's Granit Xhaka, Nodi Mukiele, the keeper Roos, um, Simona Dingra, Sadiki. These are good signings they've made, and they've bolstered their squad really well. Of course, they already had Enzo Lefebvre. Uh, but it's going to take a little bit of time for them to fully gel together and be consistent. They're sort of like us in that aspect, right? Like they're also going through their own ups and downs. Um, with United today, the reasons the game turned out, I think, better in our favor are that we had Lenny Yoro back in the lineup. He was important to negate that threat of the counter attack from Sunderland. And like you said, Mason Mount, extra body in midfield, very effective presser from the front, and just a degree of energy that we don't always have from any other player in the squad.
hmm,
So his fitness is going to be very important to Ruben Amorim staying in a job, you
yeah,
know. And
absolutely.
that brings me to my question of the day. uh, so big picture things, right? Like
Hmm,
we won this game. We got 3 points. Amorim's 50th game in charge.
yeah,
What do you think this spells for Ruben Amorim's tenure at
hmm,
United?
hmm,
Like, can we take any learnings from this?
right,
What do you think this tells us about the security of his job?
yeah. I think, sorry, just to cut you there. Before we talk about his future, I just do want to ask you the other part, right? If you had to tweak this lineup, today's lineup, if you had to make any changes, what would you make, right? Like for example, if I had to, pick, do some changes to this lineup, I would say obviously left wing back. Maybe we can rotate Dallo and Dargu. I mean, I really don't have an opinion on that side, to be honest. But I was thinking more in midfield, right? I still feel Bruno is being wasted in that midfield pivot. Um, I would also say I would honestly play Casemiro every game because we only play once a week. So Casemiro is always going to be well rested. But
Yeah,
I would probably play Mainu more. No, I don't know what is going on between Mainu and Amarim, but and I think that goes back to Amorim wanting us to kind of run like headless chicken, where Mainu is not that kind of a player. That's a whole other tactical kind of thing between the two. But I would honestly play say Casemiro and Mainu in midfield, so that you can put, and we have a lot of tens, right? We have Bruno, we have Mount, we have Bumo, we have Cunha. attackers in general. We have Chesko and we have Zirkzee. So I would, start to at least rotate these players more, right? Like, not just say play Bruno and Mount every game, but maybe Bruno and Mount in one game, maybe Bruno and Mbeumo in one game, or Cunha and Mount in one game. I don't know, or Zirkzee up top or Chesko up top. I think I would just rotate these players a bit, but because we have a lot of attacking talent, which you know we can afford to rotate. But I think in our midfield, I think except Casemiro and Bruno, I'm sorry, Casemiro and Mainu, we really don't have any other midfield talent, right? Like who do we have? If we see the bench, who was on the bench today? We had Ugarte, and that's
Yeah,
it.
we had Ugarte who came on late.
Yeah, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
And even the three players were like say listed under injuries. Malacia, Martinez, Mazra, they're all defenders, right? So Ugarte is the only other midfielder we have, right? And we are both on this pod spoken a lot about Ugarte, right? There's nothing more to be said there. So I would honestly just play Casemiro and Mainu every game, right? And kind of rotate our attacking talent or sub them off or just make them work for the spots. But we really don't have recognized midfielders. Hopefully we buy someone in the winter or whatever. I mean, again, that's a whole another discussion. I don't trust the transfer market or the transfer department of a club, but yeah, I would. Yeah, I think that's a change that I would do, and hope. Or I mean, yeah, I would honestly have never sent Toby Collier on loan, but that's just me. What about you? How would you change today's lineup? Because I mean, like we both agree, and I think Delict and Euro, the lack of Maguire and Ugarte helped a lot in the first 70 minutes before they came on eventually. But
Um, Look, I mean, if we have to be within the framework of the back three, right? Because I've said this before, but I
yeah, I
maybe
mean,
wouldn't,
Somdeep,
you know,
Amorim will not change, so there's no point discussing that,
right?
right?
Yeah, uh, absolutely. And so okay, like assuming we want to stay
Okay,
within the
let me just
framework
let
of
me
a
just
back.
say one thing. Even if you have to pick up, even if you pick a back four tactic, we don't have midfielders in the club right now.
Yeah, it's
We
it's
only have
challenging, and
yeah, we only have Ugarte, Casemiro, and Maino. For some reason, we sent Toby Collier and Dan Gore out on loan. They could have gotten a lot
right,
of minutes.
right.
So yeah, like we are one
Uh,
injury away from our midfield having nobody.
I mean, yes, I do think that even like even with some magical shift to like a back four, it's not like we have better options,
Yeah,
right? That's certainly not the case. Uh, and I guess that's a discussion for another day. So
right.
if we're staying within the framework of essentially a back three with some variations,
Mm.
uh, I actually like some of the picks here. Uh, I think for me, Lamin starts in goal. That much is clear.
Yeah, I think that
And
is pretty much clear, man. This he has to start
yeah,
every game. He was
yeah.
so much better than all other goalkeepers, right?
And if nothing else, we have to give him that time to kind of
Yeah,
grow into this position. Of
mm,
course, there will be ups and downs. I'm sure there'll be a couple of mistakes along the way, but by and
of
large,
course.
I think we got to give him that opportunity to build his confidence and just grow into the role.
Yeah,
He's at least shown enough signs that he can take up the mantle, and for the moment, I think that's good enough.
agreed.
Uh, Matthias Delic, whatever each of us might feel about him, of course, there's sometimes there's a limitation on the ball, right? Like a couple of loose passes here and there, but
Mm,
that's okay. Uh, all said and done, he is probably our most important box defender, and I think he's quicker than Harry Maguire. As such, he should start. So, kind of, we don't really have too many other options. So for me, if I had to pick a back three, I'd pick Matthias Delic. I would obviously pick Lenny Euro. I've said why in the past.
yeah,
I'd probably not go with Luke Shaw. Uh, he did well today,
yeah,
but there have been other games where he hasn't performed
mm,
that well this season, and I also think that with him, there's always that risk of injury or that risk of an error leading to a goal. And there were moments of that today. We just got lucky in the end with Lamin saving the 1v1,
Yeah,
which won't happen every week, right? We can't rely on that.
of course.
So I think my back three would be Matthias Delict, Lenny Euro, and Aiden Heaven. Uh,
Hmm.
it's a risky proposition, yes, but I think we're taking risks anyway with playing Shaw
Yeah.
at centre back. So that's who I would go
Yeah,
with.
that's a good shot on Heaven actually. I really want to see more of him. I think
Uh, I,
I think that whatever is
I,
limited we saw last year, last season looked pretty
right.
good, right?
Yeah, I think if anything, he had like 3 starts and 3 wins or something like that in the league. Like, I might be wrong, but I happen to read something like that. Uh,
Hmm.
I would definitely pick Ahmad at right wing back.
Right.
Wouldn't change anything there. And I would also definitely pick uh, Diego Dallo at left wing back.
Hmm.
I know the team doesn't have a recognized left wing back. According to me, Patrick Dorgu's better as a full back. And the same goes for Dallo. But I just think Diego gives us that extra energy at on the left,
Hmm.
and he makes some of those runs that we need on the left. So just out of a lack of options, I would continue with him there.
Right.
Sesko picks himself. We pretty much don't have any other out and out striker,
Yeah.
and he scored 2 goals in 2 games in a team that's been struggling. I think he's been his link up play has been pretty great to watch. Uh, he's had some nice moments. He had the flick on header to Brian Mbuemo, which resulted in the red card against Chelsea. There were nice touches like a bit of link up on the left wing. He had in the previous game against Brentford,
Yeah.
and today his general play, his link up, everything was great. And of course he has 2 well deserved goals. So
Hmm.
Sesko picks himself. So that just leaves 2 spots really, the 2 tens. Um, I think you kind of have to pick Brian Mbuemo. uh, just like it's difficult not to because he had a great assist today. He has scored a couple of goals, I think, for United already.
Yeah.
I know he didn't have maybe the most consistent game today, but he still brings an insane amount of energy and pace, and we need that. Which brings me to I think the next 10 and the 2 defensive midfield spots. Right, this is where kind of the decisions made. I think the left 10 should be Mount or Bruno Fernandes.
Hmm.
Uh, it depends on fitness. We're not probably going to be able to rely on Mason Mount being consistently fit.
Yeah.
But I think they're comparably decent options. Like, yes, Mount has immense energy, but Bruno also brings us energy. So, depending on fitness, I would play one of them there. If Mount's available, then by all means play Mason Mount. Uh, and if not, just play Bruno there. I think Cunha probably drops to the bench for me at the moment, partly due to fitness and partly just because I feel like the balance of the team's better in these situations. Now, this is an imbalanced team, right? So I don't love every aspect of this, but I'd put Bruno or Mount over there. Let's say Bruno because I don't know how fit Mount's gonna stay. And my 2 defensive midfielders would be Casemiro
Hmm.
and Copy Man. This is the setup I'd go with.
Yeah. I think in
Now,
midfield we really don't have a choice, right?
yeah, we don't really have a choice. I mean, it's either going to be Casemiro and Fernandez or Casemiro
Yeah.
and Manu. That's pretty much our options.
Which begs the question, why did we not go for a midfielder over, say, Matthews Cunha, right?
I
Like if you
think,
had to pick
yeah,
one between
yeah,
Cunha and Mbeumo, I think most people would pick Mbeumo, right? As the transfer
it's
you should have
confusing to me.
made.
I think Cunha fits on paper. Cunha fits this formation and this setup better.
I know that, but he doesn't have 8 Nuri pimping him balls, right?
Yeah, and the other thing is that yes, he fits better, but I think Mbuemo is sort of the more consistent
Yeah,
performer. I think he translates better to this United squad. Uh, and I think there's a lot of upside with Mbuemo. His work rate and everything is really high. His crossing is excellent, and we saw evidence of that today.
yeah, yeah.
So
Not just today, we have been seeing it, I think, the other games as
Yeah,
well. MVM has kind of been like this, one of the sole bright spots in that 10.
yeah. I think the thing with Mbuemo is that he can have an up and down game, but you can always rely on him to produce that one cross or that
Yeah.
one goal.
Yeah.
That one moment of danger. Uh, and so this is tricky for me. Like, the reason I would pick Aiden Heaven uh, is I would play him as the like I would play Euro off the left. I'd play Heaven centrally, and I'd put Delict on the right.
Mm.
And yes, this sounds crazy, but if you think about it, the central center back in Amorim's system in most games tends to move into midfield, right?
Mm.
So I think Heaven's more comfortable doing that than Matthias Delict.
Yeah.
He's composed on the ball and he's a pretty decent passer of it as well. And I think the combination of Menu, Casemiro, and Heaven can
Mm.
actually give us some solidity in the center of midfield in games where the opposition outnumbers us better than Sunderland did. That's why I'd go with Aiden Heaven. Um, it would, for all intents and purposes, it would look a little bit like a back four at times, but that's something Amram does himself. So
Yeah.
it won't be a problem. But yeah, this is the lineup I'd go
But
with,
I think
especially
also, at least for centre backs, once we have
right.
Licha come back, and I think he's close to coming back from
Hmm.
injury. Um,
Right.
maybe not this month, but I think maybe December, because he had his injury in February, and I think 8 to 9 months is generally a timeline for ACL return. So I think December or January we will see him back, and I think that will give us a good option in our defense, right? Um, I think till then, yeah, I think Heaven with the odd Maguire in games where he would be needed can work.
Hmm. I agree. Absolutely. So okay, let me ask you this, right? What does this tell us about Amram's job prospects at United? What does this tell us about his tenure? Where are we heading?
Yeah, and it's interesting, Sandeep, because like what we saw today, right, and the lineup that we put out and the system that we used. Um, see, this not like it's Amarim's first few games in charge, right? Today was his 50th game, right? So it begs the question: why did it take 50 games for him to see this, right? I mean, you could have done some of these things last year as well if you're, not frozen on Rashford or whatever, right? I mean, there were ways to do it, right? And even the way we did our attacking movements today and all of those things, like if you look at this lineup today that it's being shared, the only, correct me if I'm wrong, only two new players are Bumo and Chesko, right?
That is correct. Yep.
All the other players existed last season,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
sure,
Lamens too, but yeah,
yeah,
in
okay,
goal though.
Lamets, yes,
Yeah.
sorry, I forgot that. But yeah, so the thing is, most of these players were there last season, right? And even if we say Mount was injured, you could put Bruno in his place and put Casemiro and Maino behind him, or Collier also played a lot last season, so that was never a problem. So again, I think we have said this repeatedly on this pod, right? You have said it, I have said it, Rohan has said it, that this is not a team that should be coming 15th in the table. We have objectively good players, right? Um, like even a Luke Shaw or
Yeah.
a Diego
Yeah.
Dallo is better than what a Sunderland or a Burnley have. So the fact that barring today's game, and today's game was good. I'm not trying to take away from Amorim for today's game. It was a good performance all in all. I mean, sure, Sunderland were timid and all that, but we took advantage, we took control, and we put them on the back foot. So I give full credit to that. But my only worry is that if it takes 50 games for him to figure this out, right? what other things are there that he can figure out which will take more time, right? Like, or let's say tomorrow some players leave and some new players come in. Is he again stuck in this process, of wasting half a season trying to identify where the player fits? Or, and the other thing is also, I mean, sure, I know both of us predicted us to lose today. I think we had good reasons for that. But there are other better teams in the Premier League, right? What happens when you go up against them? Like, will this system stand up, right? Or will his stubbornness stand up, right? Like, Amorim is still not shown in a convincing way over a sample size of 50 games that he can adapt and adjust, right? We have only used one tactic over the entire, you know, over all the games, right? So I honestly, I think I would still be in the camp of, letting him go, because I think a different manager with different ideas tactically and more flexibility in his system and his approach, I think can really unlock the potential of this team, right? Maybe take us on a run, I don't know, a top six or a top eight run, or even higher, considering how bad the league is, at least in these early stages this season, right? Teams have been very inconsistent. Um, we have seen it's not,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, Amorim, like a lot of the defenders of Ruben Amorim say, oh, United is just inconsistent. This 14th is a misnomer. But even now, for example, with this game week, um, we are, I think, currently what, 10th or ninth? Yeah, we are ninth, but there's still a lot of football left to be played. In
Mhm.
this game week, you still can have technically Everton and Brighton um, go above us, and I think even Brentford, they're playing City, so probably they won't go above us. So we can still end up like, say 11th, right? Um, Despite how bad other teams have been or inconsistent, we have arguably been worse. So I think today's game for me just shows that the players have potential, which is something that we have been saying, right? It's not the players' fault. Um, you know, I know a lot of our fans online or even pundits just blame the players and throw them under the bus. But I think the players have potential from what we saw today. I think this side under a different manager and manager better ideas. Now, who is that? Again, that's a topic for another part. But I think a different manager can do better with this side, right? That's what I think. Like, I think even today, even though we won and I give full credit, I think it was still a match of very fine margins. If Sunderland played the first half like they played the second half, it could have been a very different result, right? Um,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
so, yeah, again, I came to the spot today with the thing that I will not place caveats on the win because it was a genuinely good win. But I have to say it, right? Like, if Sunderland were not that timid in the first half, we could have seen potentially different result, right? I still think we would have won because I'm a Mason Mount fanboy. So I still think we would have won the game. But yeah, I think that's the thing. I think a different manager will just, a different approach, a tactical approach can really do good, in this the league that we have today. Like, dude, do you remember the COVID season? Um, when again we had the same thing. A lot of the league was inconsistent and Ole almost won us
Yeah.
the damn league, right? Um, yeah. So again, that's what I think. I think I like, sure. I mean, the board will probably stick with Amorim, and we will see how actually good he is. But like we said last time, 50 games is a good sample size, and I don't. I will not let my. I will not let my opinions be colored by one game today. Sure, if continues to stay and we see 10 or 15 more games of this, then maybe sure my opinion would start to change. I think at least as of now, I am still in the, you know, yeah, good game, but sorry, bro, you still got to leave.
I'm inclined to agree with you. I think we're what, like 6 or 7 games into the season, and it's yeah, we have 3 wins out of 7. Uh, the thing for me though is if you look at the lineups, right? Like you take the Sunderland game and you look at United squad and you look at Sunderland squad, except for maybe Granit Xhaka, I think man for man we're better than them.
Oh, easily, way better. They're a
And
championship
and
side.
and it kind of confirms to me, even with all the amazing transfers they've made, I can still say fairly confidently that Manchester United compared to Sunderland have a better team. And obviously we've spent way more.
Yeah.
We have the luxury of Matthias Cunha, 70 million, being on the bench, right? Like right now, Sunderland don't have that luxury. They might with time in the Premier League.
Hmm.
So it, it's like you said. It's what this says to me is that we have a squad that's good enough to beat teams like Sunderland when it's allowed to express itself and play in a specific way. As much as this goes for Amorim's future, um, I agree with you. I mean, I want to see like 10, 15 more games like this of improvement, of getting 3 points and of good performances,
Yeah.
right? Like not just scraping points, but actually winning games like this. And then maybe this means something. Uh, the other side of the coin is, of course, we meet Liverpool and we get blown away, and that doesn't go so well. Um, I don't think that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying, like, this can swing both
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
It does tell me one thing, though, and I want to highlight this. I do think we have a squad that is good enough to finish in the top 8. I don't think that's an unreasonable thought, uh, because like, finishing 8th,
Yeah.
especially this season with how inconsistent teams
Hmm.
throughout the league have been, I don't think it's
Yeah.
a crazy
Exactly.
outlook. And I most certainly don't buy the narrative that the players aren't fighting for Amorim
Yeah. Again,
because
I agree there. I don't buy
I
this
don't
at all.
see any sign of that,
Yeah.
right? Like, uh, even when we did lose, we both said that it doesn't feel like the players are not fighting for Amorim. It certainly feels like they're 100% keyed in. Yes, they're making mistakes, but there's no lacking effort. And this game backs that fact up again. For me. I see no lack of effort from any of the players, whether it's Mount, whether it's Ahmad, or whoever it might be. Yes, we have players who have certain lapses, but uh, unfortunately, that's going to be the case while the team is in kind of mid-table because we don't have a clear defined goal right now, and every mistake the players make is analyzed in a much worse way than it is with any other team,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Uh, to give an example, Matis Cunha was widely seen as a world beater at Wolves, but at United, a lot of his flaws are being highlighted in more depth. He's the exact same player in the exact same league, right? But his flaws are a lot more obvious now because of the heightened focus and the additional pressure of playing for United,
Yeah.
and also I think the the expectation of people, like uh, it's a lot more heightened, and I'm sure that adds pressure onto him. This isn't Cunha criticism at all. I'm just trying to say that. We do have fundamentally good players
Hmm.
in most positions, except maybe in defensive midfield where it's a little thin.
Yeah.
It's basically Casemiro and Mino.
And
Uh,
again, that's the
so
thing, right? This was a squad over multiple managers built for. I'm not talking about the system or the tactics used, but as just a plain formation kind of thing. It was built for a back four kind of thing. Right? Despite all our managers, they all used a back four, 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. Like that's the kind of side we have built, right? Now to suddenly, I mean, sure, Ruben, if you like a 3-4-3, once you eventually get all your players, you can do it. But in the present, you got to use what fits the side best, right? Like there's no other manager who is this stubborn to a single tactic, who's like so strongly wedded to a single tactic, right? I think even with this United side, even with the midfield being so thin and all that, if we had a manager who played, say, like I think, say, for example, like 4-2-3-1, right? The reason I say 4-2-3-1 is because that's where Bruno is used the best and he's like easily a best player in the club. And we saw with Ten Hag, 4-3-3 doesn't suit him. He cannot do you know, the 8 that goes forward kind of a thing. He is,
Right, because uh, Sunderland didn't penalize it today, but if Bruno's defensive midfielder on another day, and there are runners he fails to track, we're back to square one,
yeah,
right? And that has happened more times than games going like today.
yeah. So I think that's what I feel, right? Like
Uh,
another manager with a 4-2-3-1 with a proper, like say Ten Hag's first season, right? I don't know why he forgot what worked for him in the second season, but like Ten Hag's first season, you saw a good system suited the players we have at a club, used everyone to their strengths, and we were second. And he had a 70% win rate that season, right? So yeah, I mean, sure, it was a slightly different squad back then, but again, largely kind of the bulk of the squad is kind of similar, right? And in the transfers he made are kind of similar. So yeah, I think that's what, man. I think we might have a few games like today where everything clicks, and for a whole bunch of reasons we play well. But I think over a season we would, and I'm happy to be proven wrong by Amorim. But I think if he just stubbornly, like, I think today he would feel vindicated. Now he'll continue to play the system, right? Because uh,
yeah, but that's the thing, right? Like today, he actually tweaked a few things, and it's the tweaks I feel that gave us the win. The fact that Mount dropped into form a
yeah,
5-3-2, the fact that we pressed out of possession, 4-4-2, right? Now, these are little tweaks he's occasionally shown hints of,
yeah. But the
but they've
thing
been very
is,
few and far
The
in
thing
between.
is, next
Like,
game you start Cunha and Bomo intense. Cunha is not dropping deep for you to do whatever Mount does. And then you're stuck, even if you play Bruno and Casemiro in midfield, you're again stuck with Bruno and Casemiro operating the same, central midfield space because, you know, Casemiro used to play the base of a 4-3-3, Bruno is like a 10. They both want to occupy the same area of the pitch or whatever. And you're again back to the same issues that have plagued us for the past 49 games before this, right? So, yeah, I think good win today. Credit to Ruben, but yeah, again, I'm not very optimistic, man.
yeah, I agree.
But I think,
Like,
like you said just now, and what you said before on this pod, a lot of times is that we have good players.
yeah,
It's not that the players are bad, right? It's not that the players are crap, or
and it's
not.
not that they're not trying, because
Yeah,
they clearly are. They
they clearly are,
absolutely putting in
and
the effort.
like I would say over the last few years, I think the only player who had a shocking lack of effort was Sancho.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that's the only case where I might say like that you could maybe question his
Yeah.
commitment to the club for whatever reason. Maybe he
Yeah,
had
that yeah,
legitimate
let's
reasons
not talk
for it.
about that. But I think that's the only player who kind
Yeah,
of phoned it in and didn't decide to do anything, right?
uh, yeah, I agree. Like otherwise, I don't think that's been the case. Like
Yeah,
even in cases where players have maybe struggled, like say Rasmus Højlund, like there's no doubt about the effort and application they've put in,
yeah,
and I
exactly.
believe that's above question.
Yeah.
So
So that's the thing.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I think the reason we struggled the 2 seasons before this, right? Ten Hag second season and the Ten Hag Amorim season we had last year. I think it's purely because like it's a lot of the same players, right, in those 2 seasons, or even Ten Hag's first season, right? We didn't. I sure we had some differences, but I think Ten Hag completely changing his tactic from the first to second season really screwed us in more ways than one. Which again, I don't know why he did that. I know he wanted to bring his
Yeah,
AX system back, but he was very pragmatic in that first season, right? And he got us great success in that season. So I think
yeah,
that
I think
should,
he was perfectly attuned, right, to
yeah, and lot of the players who played today were in that side as well, right? You had your Luke Shaw, your
yes,
Diego Dallo, your Bruno
yeah.
Fernandes, your Casemiro, your Ahmad. Like half the side was there.
Ahmad didn't play much, but
Yeah, what I think, like, okay,
that's yeah,
but like, okay, but if you take your spine, right, like Shaw, Dallo, Casemiro, Bruno, they were all there,
yes,
right? Your Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire was a big part of the
absolutely,
side back then, right?
yeah.
Rashford was a big part for all the crap that Rashford gets. He was a big part of the 10x, right?
I
Um,
mean, Rashford had 45 goal contributions that
yeah.
season, so yeah,
So yeah, so that's the thing, right? I really like Can players do better? Absolutely, they can do better. But it's
Hmm.
also up to the manager to kind of play them to their strengths and not try to put a square peg in a round hole. Um,
Yeah, because then you're just exposing their weaknesses that we
yeah,
already recognize, right?
exactly. Like, to make a point to kind of really stretch it, right? Like if you take a and a goalkeeper and start playing him as a DM auto, would he be good? No. Unless he's Manuel Neuer, he's going to be horrible. So
Yeah, and it comes back to like using Bruno in defensive midfield, right? Well, there are going to be some games where it works out, but over the course of the season, you're probably going to struggle with that more often than not,
exactly.
which has been the case this season too, so
Yeah,
far.
yeah. And I think, I mean, we all saw that video of the Athletic did, right? Are United bad? You know, despite the stats. I mean, it was similar to the video that we did. Obviously, they had way more data and a better presentation, considering that they do this full time. But they went on a lot of things that we have said, right? That the shot quality is poor, the midfield is non-existent. All of these things which have been existing since Ten Hag's second season, and that's I would not say it's solely because of the players. It's because successive managers are not using the players properly. Um, so yeah, man, it's weird. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but I guess this pod is still of the opinion that Amorim should go. And well, I will also remind our viewers that we did say um, at the end of last season,
Hmm.
right? We did say that if people think this is a hasty decision that Amorim should be sacked, right after the
Hmm.
season, we did say we will observe the next season, that is the current season, till January, till the new year, right?
Yes.
And if we are not fighting for top six in a reasonable way, we will, or if we are fighting for top six in a reasonable way, we will concede the point that Amorim is doing something with this team. So I
Hmm.
think that
Hmm.
still remains to be seen. I think one win today is not a big indicator um, of the overall kind of progress we need to see. Right
I agree. Yeah.
now, Sandeep, let us. I know we have the international break coming up,
Hmm.
so our next game is, I think, Liverpool that we played Anfield. So yeah, let's do some predictions because I'm anyway away next weekend. We probably there might not be a pod next weekend, and even if we do, we'll probably focus on. I think we have some topics like Carrington and all of that that we wanted to do. So let's just do predictions today.
Yeah.
So so let's start. Sorry. Okay. So let's start with Takeover United predictions for the Liverpool away game at Anfield in 2 weeks from now. Somdeep, what's your take?
2-all draw.
Okay.
I think Liverpool are going through a tricky moment,
Hmm.
and the international break probably comes at a good time for them. It'll give them an opportunity to reset. Uh, I can still see us scoring against them, but it's very unlikely that we'll keep a
Hmm.
clean sheet
Yeah.
against Liverpool.
Okay. Hmm. But
What do
also,
you think?
uh, yeah, I think, yeah, it's hard. I think both teams are just utter drivel this season, despite Liverpool's better position in the table. They've been bad, honestly, this season.
Yeah, they're going through a rut, no
Yeah.
doubt.
But again, United have had the reputation of kickstarting teams' campaigns, most notably Man City this
Yes,
season.
this very season. Yeah.
Uh, okay, let me say, I think, yeah, I think I would agree with you. I would say that a 2-all draw seems a fair prediction for the simple reason I don't know who will be less crap that day. Um, like, Even Liverpool is having a lot of the same issues, right? Their attack is crap, their midfield is crap. So yeah.
Yeah,
They only won games this season because of last ditch efforts, right? I think two or three of their wins were basically last minute goals, which kind of took them
I
over.
think all of them,
All
pretty
of them?
much.
Okay, yeah. And games where they could not score, they kind of fell by the wayside. Right, even today,
Mhm.
um, Chelsea beat them with the last gasp winner, kind of giving Liverpool a taste of their own medicine.
Very much so.
Yeah, so yeah, I think this is a hard game to predict genuinely. Yeah, I think I'll just do the easy one, take the easy way out, like what you did, and say, 2-all draw. But yeah, I think to be honest, our midfield might struggle against theirs comparatively. Like man for man, they do have a better midfield.
Mhm.
So
They do.
we
Yeah.
we might get found out, you know, by them. And Salah loves scoring against us at Anfield.
You can count on it.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll probably say either a 2-all draw or maybe a 2-1 win for Liverpool. Um,
Yeah, I think that's sensible.
yeah, but let me ask you this as part of predictions, Sandeep. Now, there is a good chance also, not a good chance, but I'd say at least a 10-20% chance that United win the game, right?
Hmm.
Because of Liverpool's struggles. Now, I think if we do end up beating them, that will raise a lot of questions on Arne Slot because he's under tremendous pressure right now. I mean, I know the second in the table, they're like way ahead of us, but he will be under a lot of pressure. They might slip out of the top four, or even I think the top six. No, not top six. The safe. Yeah, they'll go as low as fifth, if at all. So yeah, is do you think Arne Slot is losing his job before Ruben Amorim?
I I certainly think that's possible because I mean Amram finished 15th and didn't lose his job, right? I think the room for error that Slot has is much lesser. Uh, and of course, I mean he's signed Florian Wirtz and Isak and Ekatike, so yes, that's a lot of investment. But we've spent a lot of money too. Uh, it like we've spent on Cunha and Buemo, Sesko. Mm, I don't think it would make much sense for Liverpool to do this, but I can see them pulling the trigger if things stay this way for say the next 10 games.
Hmm.
And it's coupled with a loss to United because that might really upset the fans at
Yeah.
this moment in time.
Also, this United,
Yeah, also this United. Yeah, not just any. Yeah.
man, but it's wild to think that this guy who won the Premier League last season
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
now has his job under threat. I mean, for good reason. I mean, Liverpool is, I mean, despite them being second in the table, it does look very fragile, right? And a lot of fans are speaking out against Liverpool. I get all that, right? I get why Slot's job is under discussion, right? Like why it's being said that his job is under threat. I get all of that, but it's just wild to me that a manager who won the league title last season
He's under threat.
is under
Yeah.
threat, and a manager who came 15th and is struggling to break into the top 10 or just about breaking into the top 10 this season. Again,
He's
we
under
don't know
no
if he
threat.
will remain in the top 10 because like we discussed, we need to see more consistency and more better things. The fact that his job is considered safe,
Yeah. That's how it is.
yeah, absolutely wild, man, absolutely wild. Anyways, guys, that's all from us for today. Um, So I'm out next weekend. So we will see if we can do like a midweek kind of pod, if
Yeah,
at all it happens.
yeah.
I think Somdeep and I did want to do a pod on either Carrington or the other backroom
Hmm.
backroom staff and management overall that Ineos has done and all of that. So which we did pencil in for the international break, but yeah, I think our availability is a bit of a challenge. But we'll
Yeah.
see. Otherwise, we will see you after the Liverpool game, and
Yes.
that is
Yes.
definitely going to be a very interesting game in a couple of weeks. So yeah, make sure to tune into the Liverpool game. It's on Sunday, October 19th at 5:30 p.m. British summer time. So yeah, enjoy the game, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.